Well, today we are talking about some turbocharger stuff. So today is actually holiday Monday for us in Canada, but I decided to come in for a couple hours and do a video talking about this stuff. Thought I had talked about it already, but obviously I didn't because I couldn't find the footage. If I did, I lost it. Anyways, doesn't matter. So, you guys seen that quick little clip of, well, can't see it there. You seen the quick little clip of Shay's truck doing a run on the dyno. So for you guys that do follow the channel, you know that I bought this bad boy, which is a CNC lathe. Now I bought this for more than one reason, but the main reason I bought it for was doing some turbocharger stuff. Whether we are taking an HX35, which is a very good platform, or taking an S300 and modifying that, whatever it may be, I need a lathe, CNC lathe, or CNC mill to do. CNC lathe made more sense, hence why I bought one. I am going to buy a CNC mill as well, but you know, can only do so much stuff at once, right? So, what I wanted to talk a little bit about was what I'm doing, what I'm testing, why I'm testing it, and all that stuff. Now, I realize a lot of people are probably going to be like, why are you doing this? There's lots of people already making turbochargers. And yes, there is lots of people making turbochargers. And there is a lot of good turbochargers out there. I think that I can do something a little bit different, going towards more lower volume, higher quality stuff. And then there is a couple guys that do that as well. But I think there's a couple things that I can change around that will make stuff better. And then if you guys want to buy a turbocharger from me, by all means, you will be able to do so. And if you want to follow along, you can see the process of how I got where I'm going and all that stuff. So let's give a little talk about this stuff here. So put you guys up on the stand here. What we have laying here is a couple modified turbochargers, a couple stock turbochargers, and there is a couple that I'm missing in the mix here as well. But let's just start with stock turbocharger. So this is a stock HX35. And you can see as I've torn it apart, because actually it's two different turbos, I just set them together. This is a later one because it has the wastegate actuator actually attached to the housing. Now, there isn't anything wrong with one of these turbochargers. These are decent turbochargers. If you're talking stock horsepower, or just maybe a touch above, these are pretty good turbochargers as they sit. If you don't, if you have a first gen, you're going from an H1C to an HX35, not a bad turbocharger. Same with going with a HE351, which is off a third gen, the later third gen, 04.5 to 7. Just a touch bigger. The turbine wheel is basically the same size. I think they're just a touch bigger, actually, just off the top of my head. Compressor wheel is a little bit bigger. But very, very similar turbochargers. Now, this turbocharger is going to flow more. The hindrance with it is you have the wastegate is attached to the housing, so when you turn it, that screws you up, and then you have your outlet here. So this is not a drop-in turbocharger on a first or a second gen, where this turbocharger obviously came on a second gen, and then on the first gen is a drop-in turbocharger. So staying on the drop-in turbocharger thing for a minute, what I'm trying to do for the first and second gen, at least for certain guys, is to make it so that it drops in factory location with no modification. And I'm thinking that that's probably going to be the biggest, the easiest thing for a lot of guys. A lot of guys don't have, if you guys don't have fab stuff, if you don't have the ability to fab, and you do have fab stuff and don't have the ability, basically the same problem, right? So I just wanted to, make something that anybody can just, Fisher Price tool set, and you can bolt it in. And what I mean by a Fisher Price tool set, a basic tool set. I just say Fisher Price. So what I want to talk about here to start with is I kind of have two options as far as it is right now. And I think as long as I can make it feasible and it makes sense, a lot of what we're going to do, now, I have been doing some testing already. Obviously, these turbos have been on and off. I've got another one on there right now. We're probably going to be doing 2 or 3 more tests here in the next little bit at the horsepower level we're at, which is low 300s on Shay's truck, the VE. The best turbocharger as of yet is either this one, which is a 60 mil compressor wheel and a 64 mil turbine wheel, which I'll get into the specifics of it later, the exact sizing of the major and the minor. But this turbocharger or the turbocharger that's on the truck are very, very similar. This turbocharger is a little higher drive pressure, but it does make a little bit more power. And I think the reason for that is this one has a smaller turbine wheel in it, which is fine for lower horsepower stuff. But if you're going up in horsepower, obviously that is not going to work out in your favor because you run on a turbine. Now, I do have on these ones, these are HX35 based turbochargers, but it has a 10 centimeter housing. Both of these are 10 centimeter housing that we've ported. So this turbocharger spools as fast as the stock counterpart, even though it's a bigger turbocharger. Like within, I think it was like 12 horsepower or 12 RPM. Very, very, very similar to spool, and has less drive pressure. Now, we did have to, like I said, we did have to do some modifications to make it do so, but it works very, very well. The hindrance with this one right now is I haven't been able to find the parts to be able to build this turbocharger as cheap as I would like to build it, or economically as I would like to build it with good parts. So that's something I'm working on right now. If I can't do that, then this will not come to light. Well, a few of them might come to light because I have built a couple of them, but I don't know if it'll come to light in full form just because of the cost. It doesn't make sense if this turbocharger costs more than something that works just as well. That'll go into more things. So like I said, this one being a 6064. Now, I'm going to say probably stock horsepower up to 350 horsepower on a first gen or a second gen. This is going to work very, very, very well, which should basically be very similar to modifying an HX35. It's just that you're not going to spool as fast because of the bigger housing, or going to a K27, which right now seems to be almost impossible to find. There is no stock on them right now, as far as I know. Anybody that I've talked to hasn't got stock on them, which does not make very easy to put one in your truck if you want to. And also, too, if you have a problem with them, you can't get parts. So if you blow one up, you're throwing it in the scrap and buying another one. So that kind of sucks, too. So that's something also, too, if you have a problem with one of my turbochargers and it's out of the warranty, I will be able to fix it because I'm going to be using the same turbochargers. So let's go over to the truck for a second. Now, the truck, Shay's truck, it has a mix matched of parts on it. So this turbocharger is half HE351, which is what comes on the third gen 5.9, and then the front cover is an HY35, which came on 0102 automatic trucks. So it has the smaller housing on it. I'll go over there and I'll show you that in a minute. And then we have a spring gate on this. And I think most of my turbochargers will come with a spring gate. It's not really hard to see in there, but this turbocharger works really well. I do have some more testing with it. Now, this is a 9 centimeter housing with a 67 turbine wheel in it. I want to try it with a 64 turbine wheel and see how it works with that. Because I think that for this lower horsepower range, I believe that this turbocharger will actually work better with the 64 in it than the 67. But we have to try it to find out. Also, I want to swap this housing. Now, if you notice how big that housing is, it's just going to be hard to see the difference. I'll show you over there in a second. So if you notice that. So this one is a 67 with a 9 centimeter housing on it. And it spools very well. It comes online well. I don't know if I printed off the... Oh, I actually didn't do a full... I just did a steady state run on it just to see how it worked. Drive pressure was really good on that, which I really liked. Kept the EGTs really low, which you'll see later in this video. I'll throw that one dyno video in there. Now, staying on that stock-ish size, which that turbocharger will make more power than what we're making. I know it will do that if we start pushing the envelope. Now, what I wanted to talk a little bit about, so if you see how big this compressor housing is, and this has a smaller AR, because a lot of people say, oh, well, the AR is the exhaust housing. It's the AR, there's an AR of the exhaust housing as well as the compressor housing. Now, if you look at this compressor housing, this is just a cheap Chinese one we were playing around with. But if you look at how big the AR of this one versus this one is, this one should flow more air. Well, it does flow more air, so I didn't say should. This one will flow more air. But I need to figure out what the difference time-wise and the amount of air-wise. When is it beneficial to go from this size, that's, not third gen, like that one that's on the truck, right? The HY style to an HX style. That's what I need to find out. So we're going to machine one of these next week, or I guess this week. And how I'm fitting it is a little different than how everybody else does it, which is fine. I'm just, trying to be a little bit different. And also, too, the reason I want to do that is it makes the turbo a little more versatile, I believe. Is if you see here, there's an aluminum ring set in here, and that we've machined so it's the same as this, just in the bigger housing. Now, I have not welded this in. This will be welded in, and then this has to be bored out, just so everything's concentric. Now, this is the cartridge for an HE351, which fits here, right? And then will also fit here. And that's what we want. Versus this. Right? So that doesn't work. But that bigger AR, I believe, will help at a certain point. I just don't know at what point does it actually help. So that's what we're kind of figuring out now. So saying all of this, I wanted to go from the stock size, I think, actually, what we're going to do, for you guys that follow, I got that Burnout truck, which is pretty much stock, other than I think somebody's played with the pump a little bit. We're going to take that truck, put it on the dyno. And yeah, I know. Lots of swapping. But that truck's relatively stock, I believe. So it's going to be a better representation than what Shay's is. It's got some miles on it, all that jazz. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to throw that on there. Now, it has an HE351 on it. I'm going to do a couple checks, make sure everything's kosher as far as like fuel pressure, that type of stuff. Might see if there's a fuel pin in it, just so that we know exactly what we're doing or what we have. I guess it actually doesn't really matter, does it? I guess it doesn't actually really matter whether it has a fuel pin in it or not, because we're just trying to figure out what the turbocharger does difference-wise. Anyway, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. But what I would like to do is do a test with the HE351 on there, and then, or no, sorry, the H1C that's on it. And then I wanted to pull the H1C off, which is pretty much what everybody does, put an HX35 on. So we would put just a normal old HX35 on. Now, we'll do some runs on that and see what that does. And then we'll take that back off and put an HE351 on. Obviously, we're going to have to make some boost pipes up and monkey around a little bit to fit that, but that is what it is. So we'll pull that off, put this on, see what it does. And then what we'll do is take the turbocharger that we have on, well, one identical to what's on Shay's truck. We will put that on there, see what it does. And then also we'll take that turbocharger with a 64 mil turbine, or turbine wheel in it, and do some runs on that. Now, this is labor intensive as far as that goes, but I want to see what is going to be the best for a stock truck with and I'll have to check to see if that has a fuel pin in it, I guess. Because I'm curious to see what is the best for EGTs, what is the best for drive pressure, all that stuff. And man, I guess I'm going to have to put insurance on that truck, aren't I? I'm going to have to plate and insure that truck so I can drive it around for you guys. Anyways, I guess what do you do? Have to do. I got to do what I got to do. So I wanted to just talk about this a little bit, and that's part of the reason I've been kind of slacking on the videos the last few weeks, is that we've been machining turbochargers, trying this, trying that. We have definitely had some failures, and then had some good stuff happen. I have been working on the first gen a little bit, videoing a little bit of it, just trying to get stuff done for you guys that want to see. So I got the piping all figured out here, but I had to wait for some new piping and some bellows. The turbo setup I have figured out. I'm waiting for the water air intercooler. and 2 other fittings so that we can put this together. And then waiting for the injection pump gear. I got an adjustable timing pump gear being built to put on here. One of you guys, actually, subscribers, reached out to me and asked me if I needed anything built, that he would help out. And I said, well, I actually do need something. So he's making that for me. So hopefully that'll be here in the next week or 2. And the rest of the stuff will show up so that I can get this thing running and we can get some stuff moved around in the shop and get some more cool stuff done, because I want to do some more stuff. But as it stands right now, this is where we are for the turbochargers. When these are available, because I know somebody's going to ask, when are they going to be available? These will be available very soon after we get the testing and stuff done. So I'll have, a few different ones or whatever. And they will be on the website. As soon as they're on the website, I shall let you know. Same with the fuel injectors. I basically have the fuel injector testing done for the first gen stuff. So the fuel injectors will be online here probably, I'm going to say, end of the month. So like probably, let's say early to mid-June. They will be on the website for order. Just thought I would mention that too if anybody's interested. I do not have them on there right now because I didn't want to put them on there until they were live. But that is coming up. So if you guys have any questions, comments, anything helpful information, let me know in the comments, send me an email, and check out this video.